move your motion?
I do. So shall I speak to it first?
Yes, you speak.
Thank you very much.
So move, and then we'll look for a second after you've spoken.
Okay, thank you very much. I haven't actually prepared anything because my days of putting huge amounts of effort into these matters are well and truly over. What I will do though, just for the record, is read the email that was sent to us this morning by a woman called Sarah Watson. To the Chair, Richard Northey, and Waitemata local board members, I'm writing to you as a concerned Aucklander. I live in Bow Ward, but the Waitemata local board has hit my radar because of the decision to clear fell Western Springs Forest Pines. A decision that impacts people right across Auckland who love this park. I've been in to help replant, and it's a big travesty that you have not adhered to the methodology that was originally agreed upon, where legally possible, nor do you wish to investigate further as to why the VISA report was not followed, although I suspect in your report you might well talk to that, Chair, because I know that we have discussed it at our last meeting, and I hope you'll be talking to it. Because of this, I support Sarah Trotman's notice of motion, item 14 on the agenda. Further, with regard to Richard Northey's motion in item 13, I find this quite remarkable that a chair would put forward a motion silencing the community and choosing what can, or more importantly, can't go into the minutes. This seems untoward, lacking in transparency and undemocratic. Should this motion be supported by any other board member, I believe it's supported by every other board member, would defy the very reason for any of you to actually be there serving your community. For those reasons, I would like you to acknowledge that I do not support Richard Northey's motion, and this could filter down to other local boards around the city. I'd also like to table my letter, so I'm going to table this for her so that it's included in the minutes because she hasn't been here to table it. Do you know what was really interesting about that? I forwarded that to my Outlook email address so that I could print it off, because I can't seem to print from my council computer on anything other than a council printer, which is incredibly frustrating. And the email to myself was intercepted by this email signature, which has got no excuse for abuse. Now, of course, there's no excuse for abuse of staff, but I really object to council's computer system doctoring emails that I have sent. So I hope that that hasn't happened to every other elected member.
I think it's the signature of this person who sent it.
No, it's not. No, it's not. So, Trina, the notice of motion is linked to the felling of Western Springs Forest, which Member Sandilands has mentioned that she's concerned I'm spending a great deal of my time on it. Well, it would be nice if I hadn't spent a great deal of my time on it, and that actually the Parks portfolio holder had stepped up and instead spent time on it. But in a nutshell, it's a resolution that calls for all of these other investigations that are going on, whether it's a code of conduct which I've got against me, which is full of lots of holes I might add, that's for you, Warwick, so that you can get my hands slapped. And you know, there's the staff members being investigated at the moment. That's a separate matter. There's also the independent chair of the community liaison group who's had that scathing letter sent, which I tabled and isn't in the minutes. The whole thing's an absolute debacle, but most concerning to me is the fact that our board resolution of the 3rd of November, which very clearly states that the VISA report will be implemented where legally possible, has been completely and utterly disregarded. It doesn't sound to me like any members of this board have a concern about that. They certainly haven't shared that with me, despite the fact that I've raised it 3 or 4 times. But I would support or encourage a seconder for this notice of motion, and I'd also encourage people not to vote in a block and to actually have some independent thought on whether this notice of motion should be supported or not. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? The motion lapses for want of a seconder.
Shame on you.
Now, come on to...
No, I've now got a box of champagne coming my way. I had a bet on it.
That's okay.
So we now got the question